Hey y'all, what's up? It's TND and welcome to another episode of TND Won't Shut Up,
where we discuss and debate relationship topics from a healthy couple's perspective.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel for weekly discussions and share with a friend or two.
Or three.
Or four, or five, or six, or seven, or eight.
Alright, so how you doing, baby?
I'm doing pretty good. It's just been a good, relaxing week. Y'all know we had a eventful last 2 weeks since it was my birthday, and this week was so relaxing. And in true T&D fashion, we hit the streets on Thursday.
Yes, we did.
And we had a good time. Yesterday we had girls' night, so I got to spend time with my ladies, so it was really fun.
Yep.
How about you? How are you been?
Same thing. The week was pretty relaxing, but you know we did probably turn it up a little more than we needed to on Thursday.
Yeah.
It was well worth it. And then you know, Dee has kind of made it a point to try occasionally to link up with her girls. Which I think is very healthy and good.
Yeah.
And she did that last night. And me personally, you know, sometimes I hang with my boys, sometimes I hang alone. I actually prefer to hang alone. So that's kind of my outlet. So I did the same thing. So,
but we always end up together at the end of the night.
We do. That's a fact. Yeah. All right. So today we're going to be doing something a little different. Of course, we've been doing a lot of commentary on the Ready to Love show.
And we still got an episode coming out.
Yep.
Very
we
soon.
do.
Tomorrow, probably.
Yep. But today, we're actually going to start a series where we discuss various aspects of our relationship. We have an extremely healthy relationship. And, you know, people constantly come up to us and I guess they observe the energy, they see the connection, and they kind of ask us what's the secret or how is it that we do it. And that's actually one of the motivations behind even doing this podcast.
Right, yeah.
We kind of wanted to share this.
People always, like when we're in our Ubers and we're going somewhere, people always ask us to start a podcast because they listen to our conversations. They're like, y'all should start a podcast. So, yes.
All right. So the first episode in this series is going to be about communication.
Yes.
Because we believe communication to be, you know, the foundation, healthy communication to be the foundation of a solid, healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. So with that said, baby, lead us in.
All right. So we are going to discuss communication, but I do feel like in our relationship, the first thing before communication with each other, it's about yourself and loving yourself, working on your insecurities, working on your anxiety issues, because you can't love someone else or you can't treat someone else extremely well if you have your insecurities and your own issues. Absolutely. So I do feel before communication, work on yourself, work on your self-esteem, work on self-love, and then you will be prepared for your partner when he comes or she comes.
Absolutely.
Right, babe?
I agree with that 100%.
So that's first.
Yes.
And then now that we're together, we can discuss the base of our relationship is healthy communication.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start from when we met one another.
Yes.
I have done a lot of work on myself. I have been in unhealthy relationships. I have been in a place where I didn't know how to communicate in a constructive manner. I did not know how to diffuse certain situations, manage certain situations, right? There was a lot of work that got me to the place where I was when I met Dee, okay? So when I met Dee, I told myself, if the person that I'm with starts to show signs of not being at the place that they need to be for me to start building this solid foundation, then that's just not the person for me.
That's right.
All right. So I want to preface that because I've met great people, but if they're not at that place, well, then we're not compatible at this point in my life.
Right.
It just so happens that Dee had done that work.
Yes.
I did work on my side, and we happened to meet each other at a time where we can now take all of these tools, all of these different things that we've learned and apply them in a relationship.
Yes.
Okay. So when we first met, you know, there was some superficial conversation like everyone has, mm-hmm. but very quickly, and I'm talking about date one,
yes.
we started to delve into more meaningful, substantive discussions.
Right.
And a lot of this, I mean, we were touching all different areas,
mm-hmm.
but a big way that I was able to understand where she's at, where we can start from, is by understanding her history, her past, how she's communicated in previous relationships, how she's responded to certain things. And once I got an understanding of that, then I knew, okay, we could start moving kind of in a methodical way with the way that we talk to each other, the way that we respect one another, right? And I think she was doing the exact same thing. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, definitely. So when we started off this relationship, I met T at a bar. I was drinking with my friends, and I had recently got out of a relationship, and I just really didn't care to put my best foot forward. Say that I wasn't really checking for him like that, to be honest. We were just sitting at the bar, and I was just being very frank and blunt. If anything, I was just telling him who I am. I was not hiding anything, and it was not that deep. It was pretty surface level, but I just really wasn't trying to impress you.
Yep.
Right? And that, I would say that for the first week of our relationship, which we did spend a lot of time talking within that first week, right, Ben?
We did.
So, yeah, so I was being very blunt and very transparent very early on, only because I'm not a bad person. I didn't have anything horrible to say. I was just being myself, and some things that you hide at the beginning of relationships or when you meet someone, I didn't hide that. And I quickly realized that it was working in this relationship, and that T actually liked that, that I was so open, so transparent, and just being very frank about what I like, what I dislike, my thoughts on religion, my thoughts on, politics, and my thoughts on finances, my thoughts on appearance, how I take care of myself, and my struggles. I talked about all that pretty early on, and I guess that created a base, right?
Yes, it absolutely did, because by her doing that, then I felt comfortable doing the exact same thing.
Right.
And if you start at a place of just opening up, guard down, because let's be honest here, a lot of people start with the guard up, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have to get to a comfortable place to start lowering the guard.
Right.
Also, you're trying to put that best foot forward,
right,
and you're not really being transparent.
Right.
In this particular case, her transparency right out the gate had me thinking, oh, well, I'm going to reciprocate that. Mm-hmm. And so in a matter of just a few weeks, we had opened up about so much. And while we were doing this was one of the keys, which we still apply now, is there was no judgment. It was, I'm going to say what I'm going to say about my past, about my present, about my beliefs, about what I expect of a future. And you either are okay with it or you're not.
Right.
Right? And that's something that I think a lot of people don't do. And because of that, you're never really being 100% open and honest. And to me, solid communication is complete openness, complete honesty.
Right.
And that's where you get to reap the true benefits of good communication.
Regardless, and also no judgment, right, babe?
No judgment.
No judgment whatsoever. So he can basically tell me anything, and I'm not going to judge him. I allow him space to be fully transparent and clear, and we can talk about anything. And when I say anything, I mean anything.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Right.
So we continued to move on in that direction. Obviously, our communication grew stronger.
Yes.
The dialogue was even deeper.
Right.
And we also indirectly started to establish respect for one another while communicating, right? So if I hear something that I don't like, if I disagree with something that she's saying, I would not react to it or respond to it in any negative way. I would not allow my emotions to get the best of me. I would just hear it out. If I need a little bit of time to process, I communicate that. And then I come back and we discuss whatever it is that we're talking about. So what ended up happening over time is we established a norm of never disrespecting one another, never raising our voice, never side-eyeing when we hear something, making the other person feel uncomfortable for what they just said. So if you could imagine, it's like anything else, it's practice. If you continue to do things over and over again, it starts to become second nature.
Right.
This is how you communicate in a very constructive, healthy, non-confrontational way,
Yes.
non-judgmental way. And so that's what we have. And we've been able to communicate in this way the whole time. What I will say is this, and maybe you'll agree with me on this. As you continue to solidify that foundation of communication, man, it starts to spill over into all different areas of the relationship. And if you're looking for safety and security in a relationship, healthy communication gives you that.
Yes.
Because you never feel like there's something that you don't know.
And there's something you can't say.
Exactly.
And yeah, I feel like we can talk about everything. T can tell me something that he might be embarrassed about, and I'm like, I'll accept it. I'll accept it. I'll hear him out. And then if you need advice or something, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, except there's nothing I'm embarrassed about. But that's a good example, though. Yes. But yeah, so healthy communication is key. Now, the respect part goes hand in hand with communication.
Yes.
Because I see a lot of people well-intentioned when they're trying to communicate with their partners. They really don't mean bad. But from the outside looking in, you're like, why is he talking to her like that?
Right.
Why is she talking to him like that? Or he just mentioned something that seemed, genuine, and look at how she just shut him down. This is the kind of thing that is unacceptable in our relationship. Yeah. And so if it were to happen, because we've established this norm, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
It's actually going to shake us up a little bit, like, whoa, that's not how we communicate.
Nope.
We respect each other too much to talk to one another that way. And actually, that's a great thing. You want those moments to be the exception to the rule.
Right.
And when it does occur, you handle it. You address it. You deal with it. One of the problems with communication is people normalize dysfunctional communication.
Yes, like attitudes and being short and moody, and I do not have an attitude. I know I'm a lady, and they say women have attitude. I do not have a bad attitude. I respect my man. I don't raise my voice at him. I don't get snappy with him. I don't roll my eyes. So my body language is also very respectful. And I think we need to look into all that and do not normalize. Like, it's okay. I'm on my period. Oh, it's okay. He'll be all right. He knows this. I'm just not in the mood.
He knows I love her.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So even if I'm not in the mood, I'll communicate that, babe, I'm not in the mood right now. I just need a breather.
Right.
Like, that's how solid our communication is. And respectful, because if I say that, he'll be like, okay, baby, go ahead and take your little breather. Go take your break. And it's solid. Right, babe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we're still human, right? So there are things that may trigger an emotional reaction, right? But you still have a responsibility to manage that before words come out of your mouth.
Right.
There's a lot of things that we want to say to each other, but because it's coming from an emotional place, it comes out wrong. And if it comes out wrong, it might be perceived wrong, and then now you're moving backward in whatever it is that you're trying to talk to each other about. So a big part of our success is that we're conscious of what we're about to say.
Yes.
We don't just blurt things out in the moment. Even if we're feeling emotional, we're trying to exhibit self-control.
Right.
I know for a fact that there's been moments where I'm a bit, let's say, maybe annoyed. Maybe there's something that she's doing that's annoying me or frustrating me. Well, I actually, rather than say something, and don't get me wrong, I might want to say something right on the spot, but I actually exhibit self-control and think about, how important is this to me right here? Right. Is this something that I need to, talk about? How about that? Because it's a one-off situation, and maybe this is just a small little characteristic that she has that she's going to do. Is it that big of a deal to even have to respond? Now, if I do feel it is, okay, well, now I've given myself the time to think about what's the best way to communicate this to her. And this is, this approach has helped us not blurt things out or, raise our voice or have the wrong tone, only to come back and say, oh, I think I might have overreacted on that. Well, you can save yourself that by going through this process before opening your mouth.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely true. In addition to that, we do not argue. It's not acceptable for us in our relationship at all. Everything we have to say to each other is with respect. You know, we're not raising our voices with each other. And so we don't argue. We disagree. Have we had a disagreement before? Yes, we do. Are we bickering, yelling at each other, raising our voice at each other, arguing? No, we don't do that. And in the time we've been together, we've never had an argument.
Right. Yeah. And look, we are opinionated people, and we can passionately drive home a point. Actually, one of the most exciting things I believe about this relationship for me is our ability to just for hours just talk about different topics and give these different perspectives, differing perspectives, and drive our point passionately, but never cross the line.
Yeah.
You know, and this is another issue with communication. It's usually dialogue goes right off the cliff when one person feels the need to convince the other person that their point is correct.
Right.
I mean, it's like you can still drive your point in, have a great healthy conversation, because it's through conversation that you learn,
right,
that you may actually look at something differently, but understand where the line is. Okay, I made my point, she made her point. Now we have to agree to disagree. Great conversation, baby.
Yep.
We learn from it, and now we move on. And that, again, self-control. You know, it's incumbent upon you to know where that limit is.
Right.
It's incumbent upon her to know that limit, and then we just stop.
Yeah.
And that's something that through practice, you start to do it, and it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. And that goes back to very beginning when I said self-control, self-love, working on your issues. If you're snappy, if you're moody, figure out the root of that and what's causing you to be snappy and rude, because you're going to take that out on your partner. So if you don't have that control, that's why this all starts with yourself, then you're not going to be able to have a healthy dialogue and a healthy relationship and a healthy communication with your partner. So it does have to start with you. And have high standards for yourself. For us in our relationship, arguing is not acceptable under any circumstances.
Yes.
Very high expectation. It might sound unrealistic to other people, but we've been together this long and we have yet to have an argument. And I feel that we're going to continue that way, right, baby?
Yes, absolutely. I think back. This is how rare it is that we have, any major shakeup. But it has happened, and what we end up doing is break, not at the moment, just wait until some of the emotions or whatever it is that you're feeling subside, then come back to the drawing board with each other and try to break down why exactly did this happen. This is part of that communication piece. So it's like, let's start peeling back some layers to understand what was the trigger to cause you to feel this, because sometimes what you're feeling and what you put out there is actually the result of a couple different things, all starting from a single trigger.
Right.
And so we've actually sat together and peeled back the layers, saying, wait, okay, so what exactly was causing you to feel this? And once you're able to do that, then you're able to ensure that you address the root issue.
Yes.
And that is, again, what good communication provides to your relationship. It's not enough to just have a issue arise, try to talk about it, feel better, and move on. You got to actually figure out what even caused it. And sometimes that takes a breakdown process.
Right. Yeah.
And we're actually able to do that. So bottom line is, communication is core to the success of a relationship, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And if we have to just kind of say a few key points on healthy communication, what would you say?
So I would say first, self-control. Okay, because we all have a tendency of, you feel an emotion,
right,
whatever that might be, frustration, annoyance, anger, and then because of maybe unresolved issues in ourselves, triggers, we react.
Right.
Right? And then we rationalize why that was okay. Oh, well, just understand I'm emotional, or I love you anyway. I just felt no. You find reasons why you think that's okay, and it's not okay.
Or you blame it on your zodiac sign. Or I'm a Scorpio, so this is the way we are. Or I'm a Pisces, so I'm gonna get loud, I'm gonna get snappy, I'm moody. I don't know any of those characteristics of the zodiac signs, but those are some of the excuses that we use to justify some of our behaviors, our toxic behaviors. So check yourself, self-control.
Absolutely. So self-control is a big one. Another one is transparency. I know people who have been in relationships for 20 years and still have not truly opened up about certain aspects of their lives, what they want out of a relationship, what they expect of their partner, shortcomings of the partner. It's like, you gotta be transparent. And I know why people aren't, right? The response that they're gonna get, they're almost trying to compensate for the insecurities that their partner might have.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're doing yourself a disservice by not being transparent, because you're compensating for issues that your partner has.
Yes.
You have to be transparent, and it's the responsibility of your partner to be able to handle that. Now, if they can't handle it, yes, you can help them get through it. I mean, This is part of healthy communication. But what is not acceptable is for me to no longer have 100% clear and open communication because I'm concerned that I'm going to trigger my partner's issues.
Exactly.
We have a responsibility to work through our issues so that we can accept that open communication.
Right. And if something that he or she tells you is something that you don't agree with, this is still not your time to judge. It's the time to maybe reevaluate your thoughts or even your whole relationship, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Right, baby?
Absolutely.
And that's just being frank. Like, let's say if my partner says something that I totally disagree with and this is his desire in life, I'm not going to make him feel shame about it, but it's something I totally disagree with, and I do need to reconsider or reevaluate the relationship.
Yes,
I know
absolutely.
that's tough for some people to hear, but it's the truth.
It is very tough.
Yeah.
And I actually believe that a lot of people shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
The only reason they're together is because they're withholding certain information,
Exactly.
beliefs, expectations. Because if they were, and what's interesting is, everybody wants this great, healthy, functional relationship. But how could you ever attain that if you're not even explaining to your partner everything that you expect in a healthy, functional relationship?
Yes.
You can never attain that.
Yeah.
All right. So what's another key point to healthy communication?
Body language and nonverbal communication.
That's a good one.
Rolling your eyes, and I have a tendency of kind of rolling my eyes, but I be catching myself though. But rolling your eyes, the tone of your voice, your body language. Yeah, you gotta check that. You really gotta check
dismissive.
that.
But you could, just through body language, you could completely dismiss something that your partner's saying as if it doesn't matter.
Yep.
That is a real good one.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. And, none of these are easy. I mean, sometimes it's almost muscle memory. You feel some type of emotion, and then there's some body gesture that's triggered.
Your head go back, and you rolling your eyes, and you shrugging your shoulders. And, yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one.
That is a great one.
Another one would be respect. I know we said that pretty early on, but that is definitely a big one. Respecting your partners. Like we already talked about raising voices, body language, being disrespectful, calling them out their name.
Yeah.
All that it's just not going to be, it's not grounds for a healthy relationship at all. You have to be 100% respectful to your partner.
Absolutely. And it's very easy to dismiss what a partner's saying. Like, let's say a partner communicates something to you and you just don't agree with it at all, period. You could just dismiss it, but we know that that's not right. If your partner said something, it means something to them. And therefore, you need to acknowledge it as such.
Right.
Not saying that you got to do whatever it is that your partner's communicating, but acknowledge it, talk about it, let them know that you hear them.
Yes.
And that's another thing. Sometimes, points in your mind, they're just so irrelevant, or they mean nothing to you, and therefore you hear it and you blow it off.
Right.
It's like, no, your partner's saying it to you because it means something to them. And you need to acknowledge it for that. And by the way, there's going to be certain issues where you bring up that you want your partner to listen to.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know? So again, you know, you'll notice that a lot of these things overlap. That's part of respect, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I want to reiterate on this respect thing, you know, this is your partner. This is like, there's people that show more respect to a stranger on the street than they do to their own partner when communicating. You know, so hold yourself to that standard. You know, I always remind myself that this woman is my priority. You know, so why would I ever want to have unhealthy, disrespectful, dismissive communication with this woman? As a matter of fact, it has to be the opposite. I'm holding her to the highest level. And therefore, I want to make sure I'm thoughtful every time I open my mouth, every time I respond to what she's saying to me. So these are all the things that we apply on a daily basis, and we don't allow ourselves to get lazy and complacent. And if for some reason we do start to feel that, or because we are human, well, we need to check ourselves. You know, that's our responsibility.
Exactly. It's not your partner's responsibility to accept your toxic ways, your attitude. It's not their responsibility to accept that. It's not their responsibility to accept your moodiness. It's not their responsibility. It's just like some of your issues that you have is not their responsibility to accept that. It's your responsibility to work on that. And this is why when I started the conversation, I talked about the importance of working on yourself. If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy.
Yep.
No excuses, y'all.
So that concludes our first.
That's our first one.
Yeah, first one. We might have been a little long-winded, but it's all good. Yeah. So what we're going to do with the series is come up with another topic, another area of our relationship that we're thriving in, and kind of expound on, you know, where we started and where we are.
And if you all have any topics that you'd like us to discuss, just comment down below, and we'll be more than happy to add it to our series or just discuss it even if it's not part of the series. But so I hope you enjoyed this topic on communication and the importance of communication. It should be the foundation of your relationship, and you cannot have a healthy relationship without having healthy communication. So that's why we felt that this is the first one we need to discuss.
Yep. So if there's something right now that's on your mind that you haven't talked to your partner about, but you've wanted to since forever, maybe you should do it.
Yeah, just say it.
Yep. All right,
y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of the Ultimate Healthy Relationship.
We don't know what that sounds like a good title.
You think the Ultimate Healthy Relationship series?
Let's do it. Let's shoot for the stars.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Something like that.
All right, a great week, and we will catch you on the If You're a Ready to Love fan. You'll hear our commentary on that. If not, we'll catch you on the next relationship topic.
Yeah, we'll try to do it once a week, right, baby? Right? All right. Have a good one, y'all.
Take care.
Deuces.